You are losing years of your life. Not slowly, not someday. Right now. And the worst part, you don't even notice it. Most people believe they don't have enough time, but that's not the real problem. The real problem is that they don't value time at all. Think I'm exaggerating? Listen to this. The average person will spend over 14 years of their life glued to screens. That's watching TV, scrolling social media, and staring at their phone. But here's the kicker. When you subtract the time you're sleeping, that number jumps to 21 years. 21 years gone. Forever. But the truth behind this will shock you even more. You see, everyone says they don't have time. Your co-workers say it. Your friends say it. Maybe you say it too. I don't have time. But what if I told you that those 5 words are the biggest lie you've been telling yourself? What if the real problem isn't time at all? In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal 3 shocking truths that will change how you see every single day for the rest of your life. First, I'll show you why your brain is literally designed to waste your time and how evolution set you up to fail at productivity. Second, you'll discover the hidden time multiplication trick that Warren Buffett uses to store time like money in a bank. And third, I'll expose the dark secret about motivation that productivity gurus don't want you to know, because it would put them out of business. One author used these secrets to go from unknown and broke to selling over 200,000 books in just 5 years while working in a foreign language. And he did it by understanding one simple truth about time that changes everything. That's it. Let me show you exactly how this happened. Before we dive deep, you need to understand something critical. Time is the only resource you can never get back. Ever. Not even Warren Buffett, one of the richest men on earth, can buy one more second. Not Jeff Bezos, not Elon Musk, nobody. But here's what makes this even more interesting. 4 years ago, this author realized something that most people never figure out. He was broke, unknown. His business was losing money. But he had something Warren Buffett would never have again. He had time, decades of it, stretched out in front of him. Right now, as you're reading this, you have that same asset. You're probably richer than Warren Buffett in the one currency that actually matters. You're time rich, but most people treat time like it's unlimited, like tomorrow is guaranteed, like they can always start next week. And that's exactly what keeps them stuck. Here's the first mini surprise. Scientists discovered that office workers get interrupted every 11 minutes. Every 11 minutes. But wait, it gets worse. After each interruption, it takes 20 minutes to get back to the same level of concentration. Let's think about that. If you're getting interrupted every 11 minutes, but need 20 minutes to refocus, you're never actually focusing at all. You're just bouncing between distractions, like a pinball. The second surprise? Studies show that when you procrastinate, you're not actually lazy. Your brain is doing something much more sinister. It's creating an imaginary future version of you. A smarter, more motivated, more disciplined version that will handle everything later. But here's the problem. That future version never arrives. It's a ghost, a trick your mind plays to keep you comfortable right now. And the third surprise that most people never realize. The 5 most dangerous words you can say are, I don't have time. Because when you say that, you're giving away all your power. You're playing victim to your calendar. You're letting circumstances control you, instead of the other way around. But why does this happen? Why are we so bad at using our time well? The answer goes back thousands of years, to when your ancestors were running from predators and hunting for food. And understanding this ancient wiring is the key to everything. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Your brain is sabotaging you every single day, and it's doing it for survival. Here's what's happening. Your brain wasn't designed to make you happy or productive. It was designed to keep you alive. And there's a huge difference. In the past, your ancestors faced death constantly. A lion hiding in the bushes, a rival tribe attacking, starvation. Their brains evolved to focus on threats, to worry, to expect the worst. Because the ancestors who didn't worry, they died. They didn't pass on their genes, but you inherited that same brain. And so even though you're not running from lions, your brain still operates like you are. It gives massive weight to negative things and barely notices positive ones. One bad review will torture you. More than 100 good reviews make you happy. One criticism from your boss will loop in your mind for days, even though they praised you 10 times last month. This is called negativity bias, and it's destroying your productivity. But here's the really shocking part. Your brain actually gets addicted to distraction. Let me explain how this works. When you check your phone, you get a hit of dopamine. That's the feel-good chemical your brain releases. Same thing happens when you check email, scroll social media, or watch a YouTube video. Each time, dopamine floods your system. And just like any drug, you want more. So you check again, and again, and again. Research at Deloitte found that people check their phones 52 times per day, on average. But some people, they check their email 400 times a day. 400 times. Think about what's happening here. Every time you check your phone or email, you're pulling yourself out of deep focus. You're interrupting your own productivity. And because it takes 20 minutes to get back to deep focus, you're basically guaranteeing you'll never do focused work at all. But it gets even more twisted. Your brain is also playing another trick on you. It's called the one day I will myth. You tell yourself that one day, when you finally achieve your goal, you'll be happy. When you get that promotion, when you finish that project, when you lose that weight, when you make that money, one day. But scientists studied lottery winners and people who became paralyzed in accidents, and they found something shocking. 1 year after these life-changing events, both groups were just as happy as they were before. The lottery winners weren't happier. The paralyzed people weren't less happy. They all returned to their baseline. This is called hedonic adaptation. Your brain adapts to everything and returns you to your natural happiness level, no matter what happens. So, what does this mean for your productivity? It means you're chasing a finish line that keeps moving. You think you'll finally have time when you finish this project. But then, there's another project. You think you'll finally relax when you hit this goal. But then there's another goal. Your brain keeps you on a treadmill, always running, never arriving. And here's the most disturbing part. Your brain is doing this on purpose, because in the past, the humans who were satisfied, they stopped hunting, they stopped innovating, they died. Evolution programmed you to never be satisfied, to always want more, to always feel like something's missing. That's why you can't find time. Not because you don't have it, but because your brain is designed to waste it on worry, on distraction, on an imaginary future that never comes. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear this. Most people spend their entire lives without realizing there's a difference between spending time and investing it. And this difference is worth millions of dollars and decades of your life. Let me show you exactly what I mean. When you spend time, it's gone forever. You binge watch Netflix for 4 hours, that time vanishes. You scroll Facebook for an hour, that hour is gone. You can never get it back. It didn't build anything. It didn't create anything. It just disappeared into the void. But when you invest time, something magical happens. You're transforming that time into something that lasts, into skills, into knowledge, into products, into relationships, into memories, into things that keep giving you returns for years or even decades. Here's a perfect example. Let's say you spend 2 hours every day watching TV. That's 14 hours a week. That's 728 hours a year. Over 30 years, that's 21,840 hours. That's almost 2.5 years of your life if you were awake 24 hours a day. But now imagine you invested just half of that time instead. Just 1 hour a day. You could learn a new language in a few years. You could write 50 books. You could build a business. You could become a master at almost any skill. And here's where it gets really interesting. Time actually has a compound effect, just like money. Let me prove it to you. If you save $417 every month for 8 years at 5% annual return, you'll have about $48,000. Not bad. But if you don't touch that money and let it grow for 30 more years, it becomes $206,000. That same initial investment, just sitting there, multiplies itself over and over. Time works the same way. If you study a language for 30 minutes every single day, you're not just getting 30 minutes of learning. Each day builds on the previous day. The words you learned yesterday make today's lesson easier. The grammar patterns you recognize now make next week's content simple. You're not adding time, you're multiplying it. But most people never tap into this compound effect because they're inconsistent. They study 2 hours one day, then nothing for a week. They go to the gym for a month, then quit for 3 months. They start a project with excitement, then abandon it when the initial energy fades. Here's the shocking truth. Consistency is worth more than intensity. Writing 500 words every single day for a year gives you 5 books. Working out 20 minutes every single day transforms your body. Learning 5 words of a new language every single day makes you fluent in 5 years. The math is simple, but almost nobody does it. Why? Because your brain doesn't value consistency. Your brain values novelty, excitement, instant results. Your brain wants the dramatic transformation, the overnight success, the miracle solution. Consistency feels boring, slow, unsexy. But here's what the most productive people in the world discovered. They learned to disconnect time from money. Most people sell their time for money. You work an hour, you get paid for an hour. You work 40 hours, you get paid for 40 hours. But there's a hard limit. You can only work so many hours before you collapse. The real secret is leverage. When you write a book, you write it once, but it pays you for years. When you create an online course, you make it once, but sell it thousands of times. When you build a YouTube channel, you make videos that generate income 24/7. When you invest money, it works for you while you sleep. This is how you multiply time. You do something once, but it keeps giving you returns forever. And here's something most people never think about. You can also use money to buy back time. When you outsource tasks you're not good at, you're trading money for time. When you hire someone to clean your house, you're buying back those hours. When you pay for a course instead of figuring everything out yourself, you're buying speed. The author of this book realized this. He hired translators instead of translating his own books. He hired cover designers instead of learning design. He hired editors instead of doing everything himself. Each time he paid someone, he bought back time. Time he could use to write more books. And more books meant more income, which meant he could buy back even more time. It's a multiplication loop that most people never enter because they're too busy trying to save money instead of valuing their time. But here's the most shocking part about time that nobody talks about. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all. Climax revelation. 1,800 to 2,400 words. You cannot manage time. It's impossible. And everyone who tells you otherwise is lying. Here's why. Time passes at the same rate for everyone. You can't speed it up. You can't slow it down. You can't store it. You can't save it for later. Every second that passes is gone forever, whether you used it well or wasted it. So, if you can't manage time, what can you manage? Your focus. This is the secret that changes everything. Productivity isn't about managing time. It's about managing your attention. It's about directing your focus to the right things and protecting it from everything else. Let me show you how powerful this is. 1 hour of focused work is worth more than 10 hours of distracted work. Actually, it's worth way more. When you work with complete focus, you enter a state called flow. Time seems to disappear. Your work feels effortless. Your thoughts connect in ways they never do normally. Ideas come faster. Problems solve themselves. Scientists studied top performers in every field. Athletes, musicians, writers, business leaders. And they found something incredible. The best performers rarely do more than 4 hours of intense, focused work per day. 4 hours, not 8, not 10, not 12. 4. But here's the catch. Those 4 hours are pure focus. No interruptions, no phone checks, no email, no social media. Just deep, intense concentration on the most important task. Compare that to the average office worker. Studies show they're only productive for 2 hours and 53 minutes per day, even though they're at the office for 8 hours. Yeah, the rest, meetings that could be emails, conversations that go nowhere, tasks that don't matter, and constant distractions. So the top performers are doing more real work in 4 focused hours than average people do in entire weeks of being busy. But it gets even more shocking. Your focus is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But the more you let it weaken through distraction, the harder it becomes to focus at all. Research at Stanford University proved this. They studied people who multitask constantly, checking phones while working, watching TV while eating, scrolling social media while talking to friends. And they found that chronic multitaskers are terrible at everything. They can't filter out irrelevant information. They can't manage their memory. They can't even multitask well. Their brains literally changed to become worse at focusing. Think about what this means. Every time you check your phone during work, you're not just losing those few seconds. You're training your brain to be worse at focusing. You're weakening your most valuable productivity tool. And here's the really scary part. This damage might be permanent. But wait, there's more. Your focus doesn't just affect how much you get done. It affects the value of what you do. Here's an example. Let's say you're writing for 1 hour, but every 5 minutes you check your phone. How much is that hour really worth? Maybe 15 minutes of actual focused work? Maybe less. Now imagine you write for 1 hour with complete focus. No phone, no distractions, nothing but you and the work. That hour is worth the full 60 minutes. But actually, it's worth more, because focused work is exponentially more valuable than distracted work. The same task that takes you 2 hours with distractions might take you 30 minutes with focus, and the quality will be better. This is why the most successful people are obsessed with protecting their focus. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day to eliminate decision fatigue. Mark Zuckerberg does the same. Warren Buffett famously said no to almost everything so he could focus on what mattered. But here's what nobody tells you about focus. It's not just about eliminating external distractions. The biggest distraction is internal. It's your own thoughts. Your brain produces about 70,000 thoughts per day. Most of them are negative. Most of them are repetitive. Most of them are completely useless. Did I lock the door? What if they don't like my work? I should check my email. Maybe I should do this other task first. Am I good enough? These thoughts are constantly pulling your attention away from what matters. They're like a radio playing in the background all day, every day, and most people don't even notice it anymore. They think that constant mental noise is normal. But it's not, and it's destroying your productivity. The solution: you need to create what's called a distraction-free environment. But not just physically, mentally too. Physically, you remove everything that can interrupt you. Phone in another room, email closed, social media blocked, door shut, headphones on, clear desk, nothing but you and your most important task. But mentally, you need something even more powerful. You need to separate yourself into 3 roles: the CEO, the COO, and the employee. Here's how it works. The CEO plans what needs to be done. They look at the big picture. They decide what's most important. They set the strategy. The COO figures out how to make the work easier. They create systems. They identify bottlenecks. They improve processes. And the employee The employee just executes. They don't think, they don't plan, they don't question. They just do the work the CEO assigned. This might sound weird, but it's incredibly powerful because most people mix all three roles at once. They're trying to plan while doing. They're questioning whether they should be doing this task while they're doing it. They're thinking about how to improve the system while they're in the middle of work. And that's mental suicide. That's why you can sit at your desk for 8 hours and accomplish almost nothing. You're not actually working. You're thinking about working, planning to work, wondering if you should be working on something else, and occasionally doing a little bit of actual work. But when you separate the roles, everything changes. The CEO plans your day. The employee executes without thinking. The COO reviews what worked and what didn't. Each role has its time. Each role stays in its lane. And suddenly, you're not wasting energy on decision-making while you work. You're not second-guessing yourself. You're not getting distracted by shiny objects. You're just doing the work. Pure focus. Pure execution. This is how the author wrote 7 books in 1 year. This is how top performers do in 4 hours. What takes most people 40 hours. This is the secret. So, what does all this mean for us today? Everything you think you know about productivity is backwards. You've been taught that you need to work longer hours to achieve more. That's wrong. You've been told you need better systems and tools. That's wrong too. You've been sold on the idea that discipline and willpower are the keys to success. Also wrong. The real truth: you need to understand how your brain works and stop fighting against it. Let me break this down for you. First, your brain runs on energy, not time. When you wake up, you have a limited battery. Every decision drains it. Every distraction drains it. Every context switch drains it. By noon, most people's battery is at 30%. By 5 p.m., it's almost dead. But here's what changes the game. If you protect that energy and channel it into one focused block in the morning, you can accomplish more before lunch than most people do all week. Because you're using your peak energy for your peak task. Most people do the opposite. They waste their morning energy on email, meetings, and busy work. By the time they get to their important task, they're running on fumes, and then they wonder why they can't focus. Second, your productivity isn't about the number of tasks you complete. It's about completing the right task. There's a principle called the 80-20 rule. 20% of your activities generate 80% of your results. But most people spend 80% of their time on the 80% that doesn't matter. Think about your own work. If you could only work 1 hour per day, what would you work on? That's your 20%. That's what actually matters. Everything else is just busy work making you feel productive while keeping you poor and stuck. The author discovered this with his writing. Writing new books generated most of his results. But he was spending hours on social media, doing podcast interviews, tweaking his website. All that stuff felt productive, but it was killing his real productivity. When he cut all that out and focused only on writing and running ads, his income skyrocketed. Same hours worked, completely different results, because he was finally working on the 20% that mattered. Third, motivation is a myth. Everyone's waiting to feel motivated before they start, but motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. You don't need to feel like doing something to do it. You just need to start. This is why routines are so powerful. When you have a routine, you remove the need for motivation. You sit down at the same time every day. You do the same pre-work ritual. You start the same way every time. And your brain learns, oh, this is work time. No need to resist. Stephen King writes every single day. Christmas, his birthday, every day. Not because he's always motivated, but because he has a routine that removes motivation from the equation. And here's something fascinating. Boredom is actually good for your productivity. When you allow yourself to be bored, when you stop constantly stimulating your brain with social media and entertainment, difficult tasks become more appealing. Think about it. If you're constantly hitting your brain with dopamine from notifications, videos, and scrolling, Boring work, like writing a report or studying, feels terrible in comparison. Your brain wants more stimulation, not less. But if you lower your stimulation baseline by being bored more often, that boring work suddenly becomes engaging. This is why people without smartphones are often more productive, not because they have more time, but because their brains aren't constantly chasing the next hit of dopamine. Fourth, the biggest productivity killer isn't lack of time, it's lack of clarity. When you don't know exactly what you need to do, or why it matters, or how to approach it, your brain creates resistance. That resistance feels like procrastination, but it's really just confusion. The solution: before you start any task, answer 3 questions. What exactly am I trying to accomplish? Why does this matter? What's the best way to approach this? When you have clarity, resistance disappears. Fifth, your environment controls you more than you think. If your phone is on your desk, you'll check it. If social media is 1 click away, you'll open it. If snacks are visible, you'll eat them. Your willpower isn't strong enough to fight your environment. So don't fight it. Design your environment instead. Put your phone in another room. Block distracting websites. Clear your desk. Make it easier to do the right thing and harder to do the wrong thing. Add friction to bad habits and remove friction from good habits. The author did something extreme. He put his internet modem in his storage room when writing his last book. To get online, he had to physically walk to the storage room, get the modem, plug it in, and connect. That extra friction was enough to stop him from constantly checking email and getting distracted. Sixth, rest isn't the opposite of productivity. Rest enables productivity. Your brain needs recovery time. Studies show that working more than 50 hours a week tanks your productivity. After 55 hours, every extra hour produces 0 additional results. You're just burning yourself out. But most people wear burnout like a badge of honor. They brag about working 80-hour weeks. They think sleep is for the weak. And then they wonder why they feel miserable, accomplish less than expected, and can't focus. The most productive people in the world aren't working more hours. They're working smarter hours. They're protecting their sleep. They're taking real breaks. They're giving their brain time to recover and integrate information. And as a result, they accomplish more in less time. Seventh, and this might be the most important point, you can't achieve anything significant without long-term thinking. Most people are trapped in short-term gratification. They want results now. They start projects and quit when they don't see immediate progress. They jump from one shiny object to the next. But real achievement happens over years, not days. If you write 500 words every day for a year, you'll write 5 books. If you invest 1 hour per day into a skill for a year, you'll become incredibly good at it. If you make small improvements consistently, the compound effect kicks in and you get exponential results. The problem: your brain doesn't see compound growth, it sees linear progress. You do the same thing today as yesterday, and it feels like nothing's changing. But it is. You just can't see it yet. This is why most people quit right before the breakthrough. They're 3 months away from success, but they can't see it, so they give up and start something new. And the cycle repeats forever. The people who win are the ones who trust the process and stay consistent even when they can't see results yet. They understand that time invested today will pay exponential dividends years from now. Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know. The biggest secret about time that nobody talks about: you already have enough. I know that sounds crazy. You're probably thinking, no way, I barely have time to sleep. How can I have enough time? But here's the final twist. The problem isn't how much time you have. The problem is you're filling it with things that don't matter. Remember those statistics from the beginning? 14 years watching screens. If you cut that in half, you get 7 years back. 7 years. That's enough time to master 3 languages, write 50 books, build multiple businesses, transform your body, learn any skill you want. But you'll never do any of that if you keep filling your time with busy work and distractions. Here's what I want you to understand. Every single day, you make a choice. You can invest your time or spend it. You can work on things that compound or things that disappear. You can focus on the 20% that matters or the 80% that doesn't. And those choices, repeated over months and years, create your entire life. The author started with nothing. He was broke, unknown, losing money, but he made one decision. He decided to invest his time instead of spending it. He decided to focus on writing instead of distractions. He decided to value his time more than his money. 5 years later, he sold over 200,000 books in a foreign language, in a competitive market, not because he was smarter than everyone else, not because he had some special talent, but because he understood how to use his time. And here's the thing. Those 5 years were going to pass anyway. Whether he wrote books or watched TV, 5 years would go by. He couldn't stop time. Nobody can. But he could choose what to do with it. Now think about your own life. 5 years from now, you'll be 5 years older. That's guaranteed. The question is, what will you have to show for those 5 years? Will you have spent them scrolling, watching, and wishing? Or will you have invested them building, creating, and becoming? The choice is yours. But you have to make it today, because today is the only day you actually have. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow never comes. There's only now, and what you do now, repeated every day, creates your future. Here's my challenge to you. Take the next 30 days and try something different. Now pick one thing, just one, something that matters to you, something that will compound over time. Maybe it's writing 300 words every day. Maybe it's studying a language for 20 minutes. Maybe it's working on a business idea for 1 hour. Whatever it is, commit to doing it every single day for 30 days, no matter what. And here's the most important part. When you sit down to do it, eliminate every distraction. Phone in another room, email closed, social media blocked, just you and the task. 45 minutes of pure focus, that's it. Do that for 30 days and watch what happens. Your focus will get stronger, your confidence will grow, your progress will surprise you, and you'll start to understand what's really possible when you stop spending time and start investing it. And because here's the final secret, you don't need more time, you need more focus. You don't need better systems, you need better priorities. You don't need perfect conditions, you need to start now. Remember that study about lottery winners and paralyzed people, the one where both groups returned to their baseline happiness after a year. Here's what that really means. Your happiness doesn't come from external achievements. It comes from how you use your time every day. When you spend your days working on things that matter, when you make progress toward meaningful goals, when you invest your time wisely, you feel fulfilled. Not someday in the future. Today. That's what productivity really is. It's not about doing more things. It's about doing the right things. It's not about being busy. It's about being effective. It's not about managing time. It's about managing your focus. And when you get this right, everything changes. You stop feeling guilty about not doing enough because you know you're working on what matters. You stop feeling overwhelmed because you're clear on your priorities. You stop feeling stuck because you're making progress every single day. Your stress decreases, your confidence increases, your results multiply, and you start living the life you actually want instead of the life that just happens to you. This isn't about perfection. Some days will be better than others. You'll still get distracted sometimes. You'll still waste time occasionally. That's human. But when you understand these principles, when you see through the lies your brain tells you, when you learn to protect your focus and invest your time wisely, you become unstoppable. Not because you're working harder, but because you're working smarter. Not because you have more time, but because you're using it better. The author who wrote this book started out broke and unknown, but he had time, and he used it. He wrote every day. He focused on what mattered. He eliminated distractions. He invested instead of spent. And 5 years later, everything changed. You have that same opportunity right now. You have time. You might not have as much as you want, but you have enough. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Because here's the truth. In 5 years, you'll either wish you had started today, or you'll be grateful that you did. Time will pass either way. The sun will rise and set. Days will become weeks. Weeks will become months. Months will become years. You can't stop that. But you can choose what happens during that time. You can choose to focus. You can choose to invest. You can choose to build something meaningful. Or you can choose to keep doing what you're doing. Keep getting distracted. Keep saying, I don't have time. Keep waiting for someday. But someday never comes. There's only today. This moment, right now. So here's my final question for you. When you look back on your life 5 years from now, what do you want to see? What do you want to have built? What do you want to have become? Whatever your answer is, you can achieve it. Not because you'll find more time, but because you'll use the time you have. All it takes is focus, consistency, and the decision to invest instead of spend. The time is going to pass anyway. Make it count. Now, what's the one thing you'll focus on for the next 30 days? And the one task you've been avoiding that could change your life? Drop it in the comments. Writing it publicly makes you more likely to follow through. And it might inspire someone else. I'll read every comment. Share your 30-day commitment, and I'll reply with one tip to help you stay consistent. If this hits home, like the video. YouTube shows it to more people who need it. And if you're serious about taking control of your time, subscribe and turn on notifications. See you next video. Now log off and go do the work.